Coming live from the studio, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for watching another episode of All Sports. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, and NBA basketball. Before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. To start off with Major League Baseball, the Cleveland Indians announced they will change their team name after the 2021 season. So we're going to have to wait and see what Cleveland decides to do in regards to their team name and logo. But they did say that after the 2021 season, they will change their team name, and we're going to have to wait and see what name it is. There are definitely a few possible candidates and many names that they are looking into in regards to changing from the Indians to that new name. Since Cleveland has had the Indians team name for many years, 2021 will be the last season that Cleveland plays as the Indians. We'll have to wait and see if they go back to any former names they had prior to the Indians, but it's very likely they will get a new name, but it will not be a former name that they went by in the past, and we're just going to have to wait and see what name it is. It'll definitely be interesting to see what they changed their team name to. And just like the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians are following the same footsteps. This past year, the Washington Redskins decided they were going to change their team name and logo. Right now, Washington goes by the Washington football team. They haven't decided what their new name and logo will be quite yet. We'll still have to wait and see what Washington decides, but they'll likely keep their same colors. We'll have to wait and see what Cleveland goes by after the 2021 season. Hopefully it's not the Cleveland baseball team, but we'll just have to wait and see. But both Washington and Cleveland are heading into the right direction, and they are determined to change their team name and logo going into the future. Salvador Perez was named the 2020 American League Comeback Player of the Year. Daniel Bard was named the 2020 National League Comeback Player of the Year. David Dahl and the Rangers have agreed to a one-year contract. James McCain and the Mets have agreed to a 4-year contract. Daniel Bard and the Rockies have agreed to a one-year contract. Moving on now to NFL football, Patrick Mahomes is the third player in NFL history with at least 4,000 passing yards in 3 of his first 4 seasons. Patrick Mahomes has tied Drew Brees and Rich Gannon for the most consecutive games in NFL history with at least 315 passing yards. Matt Ryan has surpassed Peyton Manning for the most passing yards in league history by a player in his first 13 seasons. Justin Herbert joined Baker Mayfield, Peyton Manning, and Russell Wilson as the 4th rookie in NFL history with at least 25 touchdown passes. Stephon Diggs is the first receiver to 100 receptions this season. Davante Adams has 8 straight games with a receiving touchdown, which is the 3rd longest streak in a single season in the Super Bowl era. The Steelers' defense now has 70 straight games with a sack, which is the most consecutive games with a sack in NFL history. The Monday Night Football game between the Ravens and Browns had 89 points scored, which was the 3rd highest scoring game in Monday Night Football history. There were 9 total rushing touchdowns, which is the most in a single game in NFL history, and this was the first NFL game to ever end in a 47-42 final score. After playing 10 seasons, Darian Stewart announced he is retiring from the NFL. On Wednesday, December 16th, former Ravens running back Lorenzo Taliaferro passed away. He was 28 years old. The Chiefs have won the AFC West for the 5th straight season. The Packers won the AFC North. The Steelers clinched a playoff berth. Devontae Spencer had the first punt return touchdown for the Broncos since 2015. Devontae Spencer was named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Drew Lock was named the FedEx Air Player of the Week. The Broncos beat the Panthers 32-27 in Charlotte on Sunday, December 13th. The Broncos go against the Bills in Denver on Saturday, December 19th. This is the 15th week of NFL football. So right now I'm going to update you with the Week 14 NFL football final scores. I'm also going to tell you the Week 15 NFL football schedule and the games to keep an eye on this week in NFL football. To start off, here are the Week 14 final scores and highlights from this week of NFL football. The Rams beat the Patriots 24-3 on Thursday Night Football. The Buccaneers beat the Vikings 26-14. The Chiefs beat the Dolphins 33-27. The Broncos beat the Panthers 32-27. The Colts beat the Raiders 44-27. Washington beat the 49ers 23-15. The Eagles beat the Saints 24-21. The Chargers beat the Falcons 20-17. The Packers beat the Lions 31-24. The Bills beat the Steelers 26-15 on Sunday Night Football. And the Ravens beat the Browns 47-42 on Monday Night Football. Now taking a look at Week 15, here are the matchups to keep an eye on this week in NFL football. The Chargers vs. the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. The Bills vs. the Broncos. The Panthers vs. the Packers. The 49ers vs. the Cowboys. The Seahawks vs. Washington. The Bears vs. the Vikings. The Patriots vs. the Dolphins. The Buccaneers vs. the Falcons. The Lions vs. the Titans. The Texans vs. the Colts. The Eagles vs. the Cardinals. The Chiefs vs. the Saints. The Browns vs. the Giants on Sunday Night Football. And the Steelers vs. the Bengals on Monday Night Football. So that's the Week 14 final scores and the Week 15 schedule for NFL football. So right now I'm going to update you with the current division standings in the AFC and NFC. To start off in the AFC East, right now the Bills are leading this division at 10 games, and the next closest team is the Dolphins at 8 games. In the AFC South, right now the Titans and the Colts are tied for this division at 9 games. In the AFC North, right now the Steelers are leading this division at 11 games, and they have clinched a playoff berth, and the next closest team to the Steelers is the Browns at 9 games. In the AFC West, right now the Chiefs are leading this division at 12 games. They have clinched a playoff berth, and they have also won the AFC West. In the NFC West, right now the Rams and the Seahawks are tied for this division at 9 games. In the NFC South, right now the Saints are leading this division at 10 games. They have clinched a playoff berth, and the next closest team to the Saints is the Buccaneers at 8 games. In the NFC East, right now Washington is leading this division at 6 games, and the next closest team to Washington is the Giants at 5 games. And in the NFC North, right now the Packers are leading this division at 10 games. They have clinched a playoff berth, and they have won the NFC North. Now taking a look at the current playoff picture for the AFC and NFC, this is the current playoff picture as of right now for both the AFC and NFC. To start off in the AFC, the Chiefs have the number 1 seed, and their current record is 12-1. The Steelers have the 2nd seed, and their current record is 11-2. The Bills have the 3rd seed, and their current record is 10-3. The Titans have the 4th seed, and their current record is 9-4. The Browns have the 5th seed, and their current record is 9-4. The The Colts have the 6th seed, and their current record is 9-4. And the Dolphins have the 7th seed, and their current record is 8-5. Some teams that are still in the hunt for a playoff spot includes the Ravens in the 8th seed, and their current record is 8-5. And the Raiders in the 9th seed, and their current record is 7-6. Now taking a look at the NFC, the Packers have the number 1 seed, and their current record is 10-3. The Saints have the 2nd seed, their current record is 10-3. The Rams have the 3rd seed, and their current record is 9-4. Washington has the 4th seed, and their current record is 6-7. The Seahawks have the 5th seed, and their current record is 9-4. The Buccaneers have the 6th seed, and their current record is 8-5. And the Cardinals have the 7th seed, and their current record is 7-6. Some teams that are still in the hunt for a playoff spot includes the Vikings in the 8th seed, and their current record is 6-7. And the Bears in the 9th seed, and their current record is 6-7. So that is the current update for the playoff picture for both the AFC and NFC. As of right now, there is only 3 weeks remaining in the regular season. So in the final 3 games of the regular season, we're going to have to keep an eye on this current playoff picture. Anything can happen, anything can change. We'll have to wait and see what teams make it into the playoffs for both the AFC and NFC, but also what teams were close to making the playoffs, but they were not able to make it in. It's all going to come down to what teams win. And the teams that don't win, unfortunately, there is a chance they may still get into the playoffs, but there is a greater chance they will not get into the playoffs. So in the final games of this regular season, it's going to come down to what teams win. And the teams that win games, those will be the teams that make it into the playoffs. The teams that don't win games, unfortunately, they may not make it into the playoffs because the teams that they need to lose could possibly win as well. So it's going to come down to what teams win. Also, we're going to have to wait and see what teams win their division, especially for teams that are trying to win their division. Also, with the few races that we have for the division champion, we're just going to have to wait and see what teams win their division. We're also going to have to wait and see what teams make it in as a wild card. And depending on what teams win their division, for the teams that haven't won their division, there are a few races for the division champion in some of these divisions. And even for some teams that don't win their division, they'll still have a chance to make it into the playoffs as a wild card. But for every team, they want to win their division that are contending for a playoff spot. And for some teams, it will not be the end of their road. They can still make it into the playoffs as a wild card. It will definitely be interesting to see what teams get what seed in both the AFC and NFC. We'll have to wait and see who is the first seed in both the AFC and NFC. The first seed in both the AFC and NFC is the only team that will get a bye. We're also going to have to wait and see who are the 3 wild card teams in both the AFC and NFC. This year, there is a 7th seed, and there is a 3rd wild card team that will make it into the playoffs in both the AFC and NFC. And we're going to have to wait and see what teams win their division in both the AFC and NFC. And the $1 million question, what teams in the AFC and NFC will make it into the playoffs? We're just going to have to wait and see. But it's almost time for the playoffs to begin in January. And now that we're in December, it's almost time for the regular season to come to an end. And this is the final games of this regular season. And we are nearing the end of the 2020 regular season. And it's the best time of year because we get to see who plays the best football and what teams make it into the playoffs and what teams will have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on both the AFC and NFC. We'll have to wait and see what teams get what seed. We're going to have to wait and see what teams win their division. There are definitely a few races for the division in both the AFC and NFC. And we're going to have to wait and see what teams make it into the playoffs and what teams get the wild card spots in both the AFC and NFC. But it's a great time of year for the NFL now that we are in the final stretch of the regular season. So that's the current division standings in the AFC and NFC. Moving on now to NBA basketball, Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks have agreed to a 5-year Supermax contract extension. Giannis Antetokounmpo's new deal is the largest contract in NBA history. So now that we are in December, the 2020-2021 season is getting ready to begin. And as of this week, it's the start of the 2020-2021 season. All NBA teams are playing their preseason games, and next week, the 2020-2021 season officially begins with the regular season. And the regular season begins on December 22nd, and it's just great to see that the NBA is going to start the season just before Christmas, and that they will have a 2020-2021 season. Even though it may look a little bit different, it's great to see that the NBA is getting ready to begin the new season. And it all begins next week, just before Christmas. And I can't wait to see all the games that are going to be played on Christmas Day, especially that the Nuggets will be playing on Christmas once again. I can't wait to see the 2020-2021 season begin next week. I can't wait to see how the Nuggets are going to play this season, with the way they played last season and making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals and just falling short of reaching the NBA Finals. We'll have to wait and see how the Nuggets play. We'll have to wait and see if they make it into the playoffs, and if they do, how far they're going to go into the playoffs. Can they make it to the NBA Finals? Could they possibly win the NBA Finals? We're going to have to wait and see. We're also going to have to wait and see how some of the other NBA teams play in both the Eastern and Western Conference. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what teams make it into the playoffs in both the Eastern and Western Conference. And the $1 million question, I am definitely looking forward to what two teams make it to the NBA Finals and what team wins the NBA Finals. Could the Lakers make it back to the NBA Finals and win back-to-back NBA Finals? We're going to have to wait and see. The Lakers are definitely favored to make it back to the NBA Finals and win the NBA Finals once again. We're also going to have to wait and see what teams make it into the playoffs and what two teams make it to the NBA Finals. But there are definitely teams, which includes the Nuggets, that are favored to make it to the NBA Finals and have a chance at winning the NBA Finals. But before we get too far ahead, I am looking forward to the 2020-2021 season to begin, even though fans are not allowed to attend NBA games at the arenas for the start of the 2020-2021 season, even though it's going to be different. Hopefully at some point later on this season, fans will be allowed to attend NBA games. I really hope that at some point I can attend Nuggets games. We're just going to have to wait and see how this coronavirus pandemic plays out. But it's just great to see that the NBA season is getting ready to begin within the next week. Also, the NHL has plans on starting their 2020-2021 season at the beginning of next year, sometime in January. we're going to have to wait and see what the NHL's plans are in regards to the 2020-2021 season and when they will start their season. But their plan is to start their season at the beginning of next year, sometime in January. Moving on now to the show, what to watch for this week in sports. The Broncos go against the Bills in Denver on Saturday, December 19th. The Broncos, NFL football, college basketball. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, and NBA basketball. I hope you all have a great week. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next week. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.